March 25. This is a gear review. Many people ask me for this and I actually don't even know why. It is a highly requested item. Today I'm going to run you through some of the gear I used to run the main channel, and it is important to mention that none of this is necessary, guys. Really, at the end of the day, it's the content that matters, not the gear that made the content. But I will show you the main things I use. I have spent the last decade collecting stuff like a camera nerd I am. None of this is necessary, although it does help me create high quality videos for that main channel. The first camera, the most likely to let me down, GoPro 673. I think it's GoPro 12, this one. It is on the handle. I got I think that's called a creator pack or something. Basically a handle that's also a battery. So you get about 3 hours out of the GoPro with that handle on it, which is much better than the 3 minutes you normally get without it. To be honest, I've had every single one of these since GoPro 2. Used to have a really cool lineup. I could line them all up, but then it just got depressing realizing how much that cost me and how much they let me down. Alrighty, so that's the GoPro, mainly for B-roll. I never really use it as a main camera, but probably the camera people ask about the most is the flying camera, the drone. This is a Mavic 3 Pro CINE. Certainly wouldn't recommend this one if you're starting out. This is extremely expensive, but for me, completely worth it because I can use all the abilities that this gives me. I must admit, this is by far the best drone I've ever owned and my favorite camera by far. If I could use this thing as my main camera with audio, I probably would. It looks incredibly one of my favorites, but not the only drone we use. Mac has the DJI Mini 4 Pro, and we use that basically as an inside drone because it's very tiny, easy to fly, and can go between very small spaces. That's how I get some of the really cool shots from inside the shed, which just isn't possible with a main camera like the one you're looking at right now. Most common question, if I'm starting TJ, what drone should I get? Well, I normally recommend, if you want to create some sort of content, probably that Mini 4 is the go-to at the moment. It is incredible quality and not that expensive. I think if you want to get the entire kit and caboodle, you're looking at about $1,200. However, if you're just like someone who wants to learn how to fly a drone, doesn't really care about the quality or anything, the Mini 3 is the one before that. You're going to be able to pick that up on Marketplace pretty cheap. I used the 3 on the channel only a year ago, so the quality is still quite good. Okay, time to talk about this main camera, the one you're looking at right now. This is the Sony A7iv, and I have a Sony 24-70mm lens on it. So now that is why my main videos, or the video you're watching right now, is such good quality. This camera is by far the best camera I've ever owned as well. It's incredible, don't you think? Look at it right now. So I also pair it with either a Rode shotgun mic, non-powered, just because I hate having a shotgun mic that you also have to turn on. No good. You just want to plug it in. I know quality not as good, but that is what I normally run. If there's more than 2 people in a scene, if there's 2 people or less, I'm running what you're looking at right now. This is the Rode Wireless Pro. Now this thing has been an absolute pain in the ass. I don't know why, but Mac and mine both have horrible dropouts when I run 2 at a time. When I'm just running one right now, as you can see, as you can probably hear, it's excellent quality, but yeah, we've rung Rode and everything and they don't know, and no one can give me an answer. I'd probably recommend you go the Rode Go 2, which is the one before this. I never had a drama with that, and it was insanely good, and it could go like 200 meters. The quality got slightly better because of the float, which I don't even take advantage of anyway, and they drop out all the time. It makes no sense to me. It's an issue, but it's an ongoing issue for Mac and myself. You'll notice in some of my videos, like, my audio just turns off. I would probably, if I was going to recommend a nice lav mics, the Rode Go 2, it's pretty good. And I've had some experience with those DJI mics as well. If you plug these lavs into the DJI mics, they're actually really good. Without this, they sound pretty average. That's a matter of opinion. At the other end of the spectrum, we're looking at iPhone 15. So these are actually surprisingly good, guys. We use these as a backup often because of the style of content. When you're out in the bush and you're trying to film random cars and something happens all of a sudden, that's the go-to. Really handy having a camera on you at all times. So surprisingly, we use the phones a fair bit. You can even use these microphones in that phone and man, it's next level, but By the time you set up that, you might as well set up that. Along with the Sony A7 IV, I have that sitting on the Ronin SC2, which is like the lower end of the gimbal market. I think that was about 400 bucks. I think there is the Ronin SC3 out, or maybe more, and they have all the auto locking capabilities and everything. I probably will upgrade to that soon. However, this one's been going pretty good for last year and I've given it hell. Man, can't get a break. Welcome to my living room. The whole neighborhood decided today is the perfect day to start hammering shit out front. Let's move on to the cameras that I gave to Mac, because I can't be there all the time to film. Obviously, it takes weeks to build cars the way he does. He had to learn a little bit about cameras and he's done really well. It's the main camera I gave him initially, Sony ZV1. You can actually get Sony ZV1 Mark II. However, he's on the one and it has been really good camera to try and battle that LED flicker in the shed. We like to film at 60 frames a second. It just gives a sharper image in my opinion and helps with my edit process. A lot of people will go on about using 50 frames a second with LED shutter and you won't get the flicker. It's just what I like. I like the 60, so the ZV1 seems to be pretty good at tackling that issue. Has a very nice lens on it and just all around looks great in my opinion. We pair it with the shotgun mic I talked about, or these lav mics. It also works extremely well. The workflow, the bitrate that camera uses to edit with is great. I love it. It is so quick and easy to cut up on a timeline. We talked about the drone he's got. He's got the Mini 4. Recently, we bought the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, I think it is, the most recent one. Thought that might be a good tool for me. However, used it once or twice and it just didn't really work out for me. But luckily, I left it in the shed and Mac loves it because it follows him around. He doesn't have to aim the camera anymore. And it's quite good quality and it tackles the shutter problem with LED flicker really well. Yeah, he's been using that a little bit recently, which you'll see in upcoming videos a lot. Personally, I don't like the image out of that as much as the Sony ZV1, but at the end of the day, it's whatever camera you feel the most comfortable using, I think is going to make the best content. He also has the GoPro 11, I think, as a B-roll camera, mainly for time lapses in the shed, the claw that goes with that, so you can clip it anywhere and try and just be a little bit more ruthless with that one, because you can change the lens cover on a GoPro real easily. That his one gets smashed with sparks, welding. iPhone 15 working very well in there as well. Like I said at the start of this, you do not need these cameras to make content at all. You can just pick one camera and go hard with that. In my opinion, it probably helps make you a way better filmmaker. If it's something you're into, I'd probably recommend just starting with one camera. Every single time you add a different camera, you're adding potentially a different codec to your timeline. The more codecs that you stack into a timeline, the harder your processor or GPU has to work and your computer will set itself on fire, believe me. Which leads me to what computer do I use to edit on? Moved back from a PC, a purpose-built PC, back into a laptop. I've had nothing but failures with people that have claimed to be the best at building computers and spending heaps of money on them, and they're just always subpar. They always fail me. So I've gone back to a laptop, and my reasoning was, I feel like a laptop's got a bunch of engineers working on creating something that works well with itself, if that makes sense. You picture someone just throwing random parts into a car and they don't bloody work together. So I think that's the issue I was having with desktop builds. I just haven't found someone who knows what the heck they're on about yet. So yeah, I'm back on laptop, Infinity M7. Quite an expensive machine, and that's because I have, like I just said, I stack many different codecs into one timeline. It seems to be doing the job at the moment. However, it's still, sometimes if I have people with random cameras, like I forget what other brand, I think it was like a Fuji, someone gave me Fuji footage, and holy crap, that bloody just, for some reason, I hated it. It's probably more the program, which was the issue, because I use Sony Vegas to edit and cut the timeline. I get asked that a lot, and I probably wouldn't recommend anyone start on Vegas because nobody uses it. If you want to future-proof yourself, learn how to use Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve. They seem to be the go-tos at the moment, and you will get work in the future if you know how to use those too. If you use Sony Vegas, you will never be able to work for anyone because you can't provide them with a timeline that they can work with as well. And obviously I'm not as good at those other two, but Sony Vegas is unparalleled for speed. It is by far the fastest to cut on, in my opinion. Controversial, I know. Some people probably can do just as fast on the others, but for me, nah, no way, not a chance. In the videos, all the stabilization and whatnot is done in Adobe After Effects. Highly recommend After Effects. However, extremely difficult to get your head around. I've literally been playing on it for like a decade now, and I'm not even 5% through the capabilities that program has. With that in mind, important to mention that a lot of these shots you're going to see on the main channel have been highly edited with those two programs. Even if you go out and buy that Mavic 3 Pro CINE drone, you're probably not going to get the result I do, because I've also done a lot of post editing to make those shots super sharp and smooth. Not to mention, probably, I think I worked out I've been flying drones like 13 years now. I often hand Mac the controls to a drone, and he's actually gotten very good at flying, but still can't do everything I can. That's just purely the practice that I have at flying and not understanding in my head the shot I need to be able to edit it the way I want to. There's a lot to consider, and that is the main reason I would not recommend a beginner go and buy that drone. It is just not worth it for you guys. Now, to wrap all this up, obviously I have a plethora of old cameras which I haven't mentioned here and have got me up to this point and taught me what I know now. I won't go through all them because that would just be very boring, but hopefully this little episode has helped anyone aspiring to start a channel realize how I do it and run that main channel. You do not need this set of cameras. You really can just pick one and go hard with that. Learn how to use it, learn how to use the software, and that's really going to let you know whether this is the game for you.